Okay. Question number 4.
Oh, so international.
This comes from Michelle Stigmeyer. Our Michelle. Michelle. She went to a T3. She's good friends with us. She's awesome. She says, hey guys, since I foster puppies from the shelter, I'm curious what guarding behavior is okay for teaching pups respect for other dogs and what is too much. I believe that adults will teach puppies what they need to know better than I ever could because I do have random dogs coming through my rescue. I want to make sure that I don't send a foster pup back to the shelter for adoption and now he's fearful of big dogs. Make sense? So, what kind of like boundaries should adult dogs put on puppies is basically.
Man, this is such a controversial one.
It's a really
there's
tough one.
so like I know it's your question, but there's so many people that like are absolutely adamant, and super gung-ho about letting their pack correct and address and do all that stuff, and like some people swear they've got like the perfect teaching dog and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. I mean,
do you want to jump in?
I'm not a fan. Well, I'll share a little bit of mine, then you share a little bit of yours. I'm not a fan unless you've got like a really special dog that has so much restraint and is sorry, I stole your fire, but is absolutely making like the most primo choices about like
the most stable dog.
Yeah, and also the most patient. Like, I'll let that slide, and I'll let that slide. That I won't let slide.
Belle.
Yeah, Belle's a fantastic teacher.
I was just like, the first thing I thought of when I read it was like, if you have Belle, then let her teach. But most people don't.
Because Belle will never attack another dog.
She'll never do anything. Her energy is extremely soft. There's nothing like.
She's playful more than anything else.
Yep. And there's nothing. What's the word? Not dominant, but
contentious or.
Yeah, and kind of like confrontational about her. Like Belle is very like the peacemaker. So if she's setting boundaries and her boundaries are so appropriate, like she'd never like snap inappropriately or do anything, but if it was appropriate for the time, she's
never hurt a dog in all the dogs that she's worked with and been around, but boy, she let them know rah, and the dog's like because she comes with the real stuff. But that we're talking about a dog that's got so much self-restraint and so much skill,
like a magic dog. I wouldn't like, I mean, Cujo maybe, like I can't think of another dog that I would be like, oh, this is like a dog that I would trust 100% with their choices. And not that not like Manny would do something wrong to a puppy, but just getting like that patience thing is what you're talking about is really important. Some people, like you were saying,
giving a break a little bit,
and like enough puppies coming into Manny's space, he might be like, you know what, this one, I'm done with it. Like Manny's a little bit different, but Belle is she's always going to give the benefit of the doubt. We've seen her do it 1,000 times with adult dogs. We've seen her do it with puppies. We've seen her do it, so we know what that is. But it just feels like it takes a real special dog and a real special situation. But man, there are most of the dogs that come in here, I would never want to be correcting puppies. There's not this like innate thing just because you're like, oh, I'm
an adult dog. And so for me and kind of our philosophy here is like 90% we do the work. 90% we set boundaries. We let dogs know what's appropriate, what's not. We advocate for dogs. If one of our dogs is being inappropriate, we stop them. If the other dog is being inappropriate, we go after them. There's very few situations where we say, let them sort it out. But that tends to be with like a mild dog that needs a mild interaction. I think far too many people allow more serious stuff to go down with dogs that are not nearly as bomb-proof, and then they end up with
having your kids learn from bullies or something. Hey, learn about the ways of the world from your mean older sister.
Right. I think that dogs are much better suited to have you looking out for them, because what'll happen is it's just the old saw of like, if you don't advocate, they will. And if dogs get pressured enough, and you might think like my adult dog's doing a really great job, but if a dog gets pressured enough, a young dog, he's fine for 6 months, he's fine for a year, and all of a sudden he's not fine anymore because he's been like, my early experiences where that older dogs were really shitty to me, and I'm gonna start like...
Oakley is a great example.
Yeah.
Oakley,
yeah.
yeah.
My guy Oakley was stuck in a pen with a...
He was a puppy.
Yeah, he was 6 months old initially.
But who knows, he could have been there, who knows, he could have been younger than 6 months, he could have been there for a long time,
Yep.
and he was sharing a kennel with an older dog who was setting boundaries way too firm.
Absolutely.
and Oakley
cleaned his clock.
Yeah, Oakley became severely dog aggressive.
Yeah. So be real careful with that.
Yeah.
I would just say like you do the work yourself, and then if you've got like a special situation, a special dog, like then you can mess with that a little bit, but boy, be real careful with it.
Yeah, just make sure that make sure that there's advocating going on both sides.
I was just going to say there's a lot of romance with this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of romance because it makes sense, like the puppy pass. I remember I heard that a ton when I had Polar Bear. Oh, don't worry, the adult dogs will give him a puppy pass for being a jerk, and they'll teach him and stuff like that. And I had an experience with Polar Bear when he was real young. He was a puppy, and he got like attacked, kind of not like bit, but gone after by an older dog that lived downstairs from me. And they were like, oh, don't worry, he'll give him the puppy pat, like did the whole thing. And I can't say that didn't have some effect on like reactivity and stuff. And I think it makes us feel really good to be like, oh, it's the wild taking care of itself. But unfortunately, they're domesticated dogs that the wild, a lot of these guys aren't just been touched by the wild. They've been touched by owners and pests and all sorts of rescue situations and all this stuff. So it's not really like that clean slate that we wish was there.
If I had a new dog, if I had a puppy, I'd be so careful about who and how people and dogs interacted and corrected my dog. I wouldn't baby him, I wouldn't like coddle him, but I would be extremely careful about how all those conversations went down.
Just like a child.
Yep.
Yep.
All
right, Michelle. Thank you.
Hope that helps.
Bye.